Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Hey,
Fish Talk. We got Dr. Anthony in his Sunday finest. He is
That's
our
right.
special guest today. And my co-host, Tian Aqua. It's Sunday finest. I love it.
Skipper, man, I got to tell you, dude, that video that you just showed me, that's pretty cool, man.
I thought I showed it to you before.
No, I haven't even seen it.
Annette actually made that for us.
I was gonna say
wow.
you're too much of a good old boy to be able to do something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. You give me a wrench, I can
That's
do
right.
it. You give me this, I'm asking questions. That's just all there is to it.
What was that you held up?
That's the mouse.
That's his
Oh,
mouth.
okay.
See, well, I'm speaking. I mean, from Hickland there in Tennessee, he doesn't know what a mouse is, huh?
Well, I mean, besides the ones, that you get in those traps, that's about it.
Yep.
Yeah, see, Robert, this is called. I even know this. I had to ask the guy at Best Buy from Geek Squad. I said, "That don't look like a mouse. Where's the cord?" Well, they make them wireless nowadays.
Oh, fancy over there, ain't you, Skipper?
Trying to keep up with these youngins around here. Mark, we'll go ahead and say some hellos. This comes from yesterday from Mardole because I messed up yesterday.
You messed up. I was in a panic yesterday. I got on the stream. I said, did he make a mistake? Is this for today?
Yeah. But what's up, Mardole, Adele, Maria Z, Patty Petite Tanks, Eduardo, Aquaria Life, how you doing? There's Mardole again. There's that Dr. Anthony guy in chat. My buddy Color Guppies is here today. Thank you, bud.
Hey, Benny.
See ya. Liquid Zoo Matt, how you doing? How you doing? Alice B, Jenna P, Stephen P's probably still sleeping.
No, Stephen P just text, put on comment that said, who am I fooling? What? This is my Stephen P look. He's got a new hairdo. I thought I'd have a new hairdo.
That's right. Hello, Lumpy Dog, Lady Metalhead, Dee Dee, Pulse Tarot, Jerome, Bunny Viper, and Hillbilly Aquatics. Oh, yeah, there he is. I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
For he's taking a nap. And we got Degenerate Fish Keeper, Keith Hanshaw. How you doing? So one of the things I wanted to do is help promote his raffle that they're doing till the end of this month, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And I'll bring that up here later. And there was some confusions in some of the chats about it.
Yes.
As I'm sure you saw. So if you would like to explain it again.
Let me explain everything. And my wife even wrote me a note to clarify some points. So the trip is for 2 people, airfare included, accommodations, your food. The only thing we don't buy is your alcohol if you drink alcohol. All your transportation costs within country is paid. Well, heck, I guess all transportation costs is paid for except your way to your home airport and back. And the trip is a 1 week long trip. Write it down. Yet my wife's giving me the finger.
Okay.
Okay, so she's gonna just write everything down. So you'll have the opportunity to either you do a series of collecting trips. You can work in the aquarium, work on the research. There are things to do in Iquitos, so you don't have to go it's not every day you need to go do something, but there will be opportunities for you to collect. We do have permits to sustainably collect, so it's not like you're going to go collect 10,000 tetras. It's within reason. We work with an exporter that you'll have the opportunity, or if you want to do collecting, to on your costs. So you will pay for all exportation fees and the exportation of those fish back to the United States. So in order to do that, you need to have a U.S. Fish and Wildlife import-export permit, which is $100. They're fairly easy to get. Lots of times in the past, they would let you apply for it right on site when you bring fish back, but it's always better to do that beforehand. But that cost is incurred by the person who's importing the fish. So we're not going to provide, we'll provide you the contacts. We'll provide you all the necessary things you need in order to pay for it yourself. Let's see. And there's some notes, 2 people, airfare to Iquitos and transportation to and from the airport and to collecting sites. We do the transportation. You will have access to the Manatee Rescue Center, also called the Amazon Forever. This is a site that brings in animals. Used to be just manatees that they kill the parents because they eat the adults. And then the babies are left to fend for themselves. So people bring the babies into the Manatee Rescue Center, so they rehabilitate them in order to put them back into the environment.
Wow.
Housing,
Yeah.
meals.
I said housing, meals will be at our facility, or we'll pay for it. And then
We've got the collecting trips,
got the collecting trip,
and they will have free time if they want.
and they'll have free time if they want it. You want to
nice.
come in so
Oh,
they can see you?
I can't.
Okay.
They look terrible.
My wife doesn't want to be on camera. You know how wives are.
Oh
yeah.
Now I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, like, I know that, like, when Corey from the Aquarium Co-op and them, when they went to Peru, they mentioned something about having to have like some kind of like special type of shots.
Yes. So to go to any place in the Amazon, in most South American countries, you must have yellow fever injection, which is a 2-shot series, 6 weeks apart. So yellow fever is required. In many countries, they'll check your yellow fever injections. I've never been checked in Peru. In Colombia, I was actually checked. It's recommended on some sites that you have hepatitis A injections. That's foodborne hepatitis. Also,
COVID.
yeah, you have to have the COVID shots with the COVID vaccine cards to get onto the airplanes these days. And
Back in the US.
what's the other injection that some people take?
Yellow fever.
Dysentery. No, not dysentery.
Oh, you mean for typhoid?
Yeah, typhoid. Some people take typhoid. I've never had a typhoid shot.
And then malaria.
And then you
What
will
is a typhoid?
typhoid,
shot?
Mary. Typhoid is a sewage-borne disease.
Okay.
So some people, if they're collecting in really bad water, they'll take typhoid. I've collected in really bad water in Cambodia and have never had typhoid. I came back with the holy trinity of a virus, a bacteria, and a amoeboid problem for my gut that took me 6 months to rectify. But I've never really gotten anything from the water per se in Peru. But you will also have anti-malarial pills. The best pill is Malarone. You take it for 2 days before you go, and you take it every day while you're there, and 5 days afterwards. They do also can give you an antibiotic for anti-malaria, but you need to take that for 30 days after you come back as well. And it makes you very sun sensitive. So, when I bring students there, our health center wants to give them the antibiotic, and the students stop taking it after 3 or 4 days when they get back because it doesn't, why take it for 30 days? So the Malarone, which is the one that I've been using forever, it's the preferred. So the only injection that you actually have to have besides COVID vaccination is the yellow fever.
Until
Okay.
by September 1st, 2023.
Yeah, and the only stipulation else for the raffle is that The trip has to be used by September of 2023. So we give you September 1st. We give you a year and a half because the best time to go is in the summertime, our summertime, and for some people it's they may not be able to get off this summer for whatever various reasons. So we give you an extra year to take that trip.
Okay.
And to
That's
enter,
good.
you have to be 18 years or older to actually enter the raffle. But if you win and you have a child or someone who is under 18, that's fine if they come along. So it's just that by law people have to be over 18 to enter the raffle.
And then one last thing.
Okay.
And one last thing, my wife said, I don't know why she doesn't come into the stream and what's
If when they buy the tickets, if they scroll down, everything is listed.
yeah. So on the page that
When you buy the ticket.
where you buy the ticket, all the things are actually listed that I just said. So it's all there in good faith. I think it'll be a great time. And one thing that can happen if a group of 3 or 4 people, fish fam want to get together and say, hey, we'd like to come down and visit the facility, or maybe work at the facility for a couple, 3 or 4 weeks. That there's always other things that can be arranged. And if people want to do a collecting trip as a group, I could always arrange the necessary people, the fishermen, things of that sort too. That if they just want to come down on their own, to make sure that everything runs smoothly for you. But this is an opportunity of a lifetime. For people, we look at it as a way of getting people to know our research center. We're totally nonprofit.
It's kind of
Go ahead.
It's also a fundraiser for UNs too.
Yes,
so,
yeah, we're totally nonprofit. So it's a fundraiser for us to help, run the center. We will have the aquarium open up hopefully by June 24th. That's when we hope to open it, and so you will have access to the aquarium as well to look at all the fish in the area.
And there was a question: the cutoff date to enter the raffle, the last day is the 13th.
March 31st.
Can you purchase this trip as a standalone? Like if, say, for instance, I didn't win, I wanted to come down, yes, you can.
Yeah, there will, if people want to do that, like, let's say there's 4 people in your family and you won, but only 2 of you can come. We will have opportunities, for extra people to come down if need be. And the winner will be announced. Winner will be announced on my Monday stream in April. So my Monday morning streams in April.
So when Indians do the drawing, you going to do it that weekend?
No, we'll do it live on my stream. Let's say
on the 4th.
Pause for a second.
Okay, my wife says pause.
We're going to use a computerized program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be all computerized program. Kind of like they do on the Monday morning. All that stuff. So it'll be everybody will be randomized, will be put into the system, and that will be announced closer to the time when we're getting ready. At when the raffle is over on the 31st, we will announce that time.
And Jason would like to know when does this actually start? You know what I mean? Like, can they go ahead and start getting the tickets?
Oh yes, yeah. We
Okay.
The tickets started opening on 1st of March, so they've been tickets have been available since for 6 days now.
And Myrtle is putting the link in the chat. So yes, Jerome, it's if whenever they draw it in April, you have up till September 1st of 2023. So you'll just get in contact with them whenever you can go, and they'll tell you pretty much, they'll
And-
arrange it with you.
Yeah, and the best time to go is during our summers. That is their winter because that's low water. If you want to go and do some collecting, that is the best time to collect. If you go any other time of year, the water's too high and it's very difficult to collect fish at that time. They do collect some, but it's not like you're going to get a lot of variety.
So the
Right.
best time to go is during our summertime because
Yes.
that's their
Yep.
winter and their water is
Yep.
low.
July, August are really the best times to go.
Well, that'd be great. I wouldn't want to go in the winter and sweat my butt off down there. I mean,
Well,
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
sweat
sweat-
anyways.
You're going to sweat your butt off anyway because in the only difference between the summer, winter, it's rainy season and dry season.
Mhm.
Well, when I was there in January, it was supposed to be rainy season and it rained 2 days. So we're talking, maybe 100 degrees, but 100% humidity every day. So
Yeah,
the
'cause it
humidity is
works.
what kills you. Yeah.
I could get
Yeah,
used to that
that's-
because living here in Pennsylvania, it gets pretty
Yeah.
humid too.
Yeah, it's like the South, but 10 times worse. And our dorm facilities have air conditioning, have hot and cold running water, your own bathroom. We have washer and dryers there on site, and so like I've told other people, I wanted to make it American comfortable because I'm too old to be laying in bed sweating up a storm just with a ceiling fan. I like my air conditioner. I want to be comfortable, and that was important to us for when scientists go down and work, that it would be comfortable for them too.
American comfortable.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of pansies, ain't we?
Yeah, we are. I'm not sorry. We are. The Peruvians, most of them don't have air conditioning, but they don't sweat. They're used to it. But not me. I mean, when we work side by side, we, start work at 7 or 8, and noon you take a break for 2 hours. Well, I'm drenched in sweat. I'm literally drenched. So I go and take a shower and change clothes. And, the Peruvians, they maybe have a little sweat on their temple, but that's about it. And I'm literally drenched.
Oh, I'm sure.
So everybody like my new look? I thought I would try it out today. My Sunday
Yeah.
best.
Hey, I gotta say,
I'm looking pretty good, aren't I?
Rico Stan would be jealous.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
you would.
Yeah. Despite what Eduardo says, or Stephen P. My wife likes it.
Yeah, I mean, that hair would definitely give Steven a run for the money
Yeah, I know.
for sure.
That pink and blue hair he has doesn't stand a chance with my hair today.
That's funny.
Can Dr. Anthony sing, I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. There you go. Patty's Petite Tanks, just for you. But actually, it's getting too hot, so I'm going to go back to normal. There you go.
Now you got air conditioning again.
Yeah, I got air conditioner.
Speaking of Steven said, looks like he could dye that hair pretty easily.
I don't know. It's nylon, so I'm not sure how well it will take. I bought it off Amazon for $3 or $4 a couple of years ago, so I don't think it would take dye very well. I can dye my head, put a purple stripe in my head. Should do that.
Glitch Aquatics said, okay, so that's not his hair. I was thinking
No.
that looked fake, but I didn't know.
I know. Some of you who have never seen me before, no, that's not my hair. This is really me. And I actually cut my hair yesterday, so it's a lot shorter than it was a couple days ago.
Yeah, I know how you feel, bud. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
Remember, grass doesn't grow on a busy street.
That's true.
That's
A
right.
lot of stuff
Yes.
going up here, so that grass kind of fades away.
Boy, you ain't lying there. So, what you've been doing this for how long?
In Peru for about 10, 12 years. I've been going to Peru to do research. And the research center really, we bought the land about 10 years ago, and we really started actively doing stuff with the research center about 6-7 years ago. Unfortunately,
Nice.
COVID hit, and for 2 years I was here. I couldn't go back, so it just kind of sat idle after we built the lab and the fish lab, and we had built the aquarium outside, the building, but we couldn't do anything inside. So last summer I spent the entire summer there. Myself and my resident manager and our construction guy did the entire summer. All we did was actually build aquariums. So
Cool.
all the aquariums that are on site except one, we actually built ourselves.
So them ponds that you have there that I saw in a video once, whenever you go collect fish, do you keep them in there and like pull them out every once in a while to do some research on?
Well, we do have some fish in the ponds that we do research. The red pencil fish, we're actually trying to see if they will breed in ponds. But most time when we collect fish, we bring them into the fish lab. We have a huge fish lab, and we put them in aquariums there. There we can quarantine them, really look to make sure they're healthy. So before the fish actually go into the public aquarium, they go into the inside aquariums in our fish lab to medicate, get rid of the parasites and things of that sort.
What sort of thing do they do at the research lab?
My main research is looking at the impact of invasive species. We have 3 fish there in the Iquitos region. One is the blue gourami, the same blue gourami that we have in the pet trade. They escaped in the 70s from a fish farm, and we're looking at the impacts they have on the local fish fauna. They're there by the billions now. We also look at guppies, and guppies were brought in for mosquito control because of malaria and dengue fever. And then most recently we found tilapia in the rivers that have escaped from the aquaculture facilities. And so, if tilapia take hold, it's gone. Tilapia can wipe out all the small tetras and everything.
Well, yeah, because that'd be like food for them and stuff.
Yeah.
Dee Dee wants to know if whenever the human malware struck, if you were at the center, would you have been allowed to come home or you've been stuck there?
Well, my wife and I had planned a trip in March of that first year of COVID. And we were going to go during my spring break. We decided not to go the night before our flight was going to leave. 2 days later, Peru closed their borders. And we would have been there, and we would have been stuck there. And they didn't open up their borders for about 6 months. Now, there was some flights, some rescue flights from the U.S., but you had to find your way to Lima. And since all the flights were grounded in Peru, it would have been hard for us to get to Lima, because the only way you can get into Iquitos where the research center is either to fly in or take a boat. And they had stopped boat traffic as well. So we would have been stuck there for 6 months. When I was there this January, I caught COVID. Luckily, I was only sick for 4 or 5 days. But COVID can stay in your system for 30 days, and you're not sick, but you have the traces of it. And when I went to be tested, because you have to be tested 24 hours before you leave the country, according to America. That's not really Peruvian standards per se, but to come back to America, I tested positive, so I had to wait 7 extra days sitting there waiting for me to test negative on a COVID test before I could actually fly back home. So, COVID is still there in Peru. Peru is a level 4 country right now, meaning the American government, CDC, says don't fly to Peru. I'm triple vaccinated. I had COVID. you know,
That wouldn't stop me from going.
yeah, I'm not really that worried about it per se, but you know, I'm not immunocompromised. I don't have medical issues
Yeah.
that you know that could greatly affect people, even if they get, you know, even if they get COVID.
So, Steph from Aquaria Life wants has her question of what disease do fish mostly have coming out of the water down there?
It's really not diseases per se; it's parasites. You know, they're going to have gill flukes. They may have some roundworm, intestinal worms. You know, one thing you'll notice, because a lot of the places we collect are going to be acidic waters. The acidic waters tend to kill off the bacteria that's going to affect. Even so, when fish get their fins bit, every fish you're going to see, you're going to have chunks of fins out. You know, the piranha, some of the other fish are just taking chunks out of them, and none of them have fungus. None of them have bacterial infections. It's not until you bring them into a laboratory and an aquarium situation that they start to suffer from these diseases, because their immune system is suppressed then when you bring them, you know, they're on a long flight. And so that's when we tend to see problems, but we don't really see problems there. You know, all the fish, even fish that I collect that I may be shipping back home, they're all being treated with ProziPro and General Cure. That's just what, you know, that's just the two medicinal things that I do. And, you know, the water is tannic stained, so that's going to prevent a lot of the problems from occurring.
And also, it's a natural.
Yeah, it's a
thing.
natural, you know,
Medicine.
you know, it's a natural fungal. It kills funguses. You know, the bacteria don't do well in acidic waters.
So like,
How-
so like
Go ahead, Robert.
um, when people comes down there to collect fish,
Mhm.
and then they take them back home, you know, to the
Mhm.
States with them. How hard is it to like get them transition to the water here? I mean, do
I'm
you got to
not.
do
I
it
mean,
like
the
slowly,
tank,
or
the tank behind me. It's, even though it's glared over because of the sun. You know, that's a 400-gallon or so tank of wild discus that was shipped back to me, and they're in our California tap water. The tap water is about 8.4. I measure hardness in microsiemens. It's about 400 microsiemens, which means it's basically liquid rock. And you know, if you do drip acclimation, you know, you're not going to have that many problems. Now, these fish, if they breed, I'll never get survival from young, because the hardness, you know, that hard water attacks the outside of the egg, so it's impermeable. They're not going to be fertile. But you know, I have these fish here to look at, not necessarily to breed. I'm not a breeder. You know, I'm a hobbyist like you all. You know, I breed some fish, but it's not like I go out and intend to breed fish and try to make a living off and try to sell those fish. No,
right?
that's not what I do. I enjoy looking at the fish. So, you know, they're discus are supposed to be one of the most difficult fish to keep, you know, especially wild fish. So if, you know, if these transition well, there's no reason you can't transition the other fish that are
Okay,
that are there.
thank you.
Alice B wants to know, how often do you go to Peru a year? I guess.
Yeah, in normal times, like what, you know, I consider now normal, since we can travel freely. I will go during my summer breaks. I'm a college professor by real job, and so I will go at the end of May and stay till 1st of February or 1st of September or so. Sometimes I go during January. This year I was able to we have a January mini session for 3 weeks. I was able to take that off. So I left day after Christmas and got back February 7th. So a good 6 weeks there. And then I'll go during my spring break. So, you know, I will spend as much time as I can down there, especially up to this point, because of all the building we're doing, all the
Right.
things we're doing to get ready for the opening of the aquarium.
You-
You know, and I enjoy there. I mean, that's my second home now. You know, the people down there are my family.
That's what I was going to ask. So it's like a vacation when you go down there, even though you guys have a lot of work to do right now to get it up and running.
But to tell you the truth, in the past year, I have been in the water, in the river, 3 times. That's it.
Really?
That's it. Because we had so much work to do. Even though my wife said, "Why don't you go, go in the river, go collect some fish?" I just felt like there was too much work to actually do.
Right. Yeah.
And so, that.
Well,
aside from the guppies, is there any other live bears down there?
Guppies. That's it. Guppies. No native live bears there in that part of Peru.
Okay.
Most of the live bears are coastal, so there'll probably be some in Brazil and all the way up into Venezuela, where guppies are native to the coastal regions of Venezuela into Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, I do got a question, and this question is going to be pertaining for Skipper's sake.
Okay.
But if one goes down there to collect, could you possibly get any of those? I think they're called corridor barbatus by chance.
Barbatus.
I probably said it wrong, but
no, you actually said
and to be honest with you, those corridors are probably not even in that continent either. So
no, they're in South America.
Okay.
What you'll have access to is things that we cannot collect in Iquitos. Iquitos itself is the center of exportation of fishes in the Amazon in Peru. So even if it's caught in southern Peru, it'll go into Iquitos. And then, because that's the main exportation, it goes to Lima just to get checked and then goes on. So like Cory White's Mani, it's collected in southern Peru, but they bring it into Iquitos, into the exporters. So you'll have access to go to the exporters. We also, one of the things I do is I go directly to the fishermen and buy fish from the fishermen themselves, right? We have a very good relationship with the fishermen. And so when they collect something out of the ordinary, we get called to see if we want to have it at our research center.
That's neat.
Yeah. So there's opportunities beyond just collecting fish to get different fish.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing that they know yous are established there and what yous are looking to do.
Our resident manager Carlos worked in the exportation trade. He was general manager to the largest fish exporter in Iquitos and worked in that arena for 20, 30 years. So he knows all the fishermen. So we're lucky. We were lucky enough to hire him away from the exporters, and so he's been our partner from the beginning, because he was the one who said, "Hey, we have an opportunity to buy some land. You want to start a research center?" It's not something I ever thought about doing. Never. I never thought about having a research center. It just happened out of chance that we were able to do it.
That's one of them things. It kind of feels like a once in a lifetime chance. You better take it.
Yeah. Yep. At that time, we really weren't sure what was going to happen. I thought, well, how about setting up an exportation business? But, I hate dealing with people. I like dealing with fish, but, especially DOAs are very common when you export fish, and, how do you handle that? So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be something that I would think that would be a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Alice B has another question. Is there any teams or people trying to catch the invasive fish? If not, what sort of things can be done to help get rid of the invasive fish to help the native fish?
Well, there's no one there. In fact, when we first started working on the gouramis, the Ministry of Fisheries said, we don't have gouramis here. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Well, one of the collection sites was right across the street from his house. And when I presented a presentation to the public there, all the Ministry of Fisheries people showed up. He had to, choke on his words. Gouramis are there by the billions. You're never going to get rid of them. What we've done, though, gouramis used to be used for Arapima farming. Arapima is the largest freshwater fish there in South America, and they farm it by the millions for food, not for the aquarium trade, for food. In fact, many of the exporters buy their fish from Southeast Asia and have them shipped in, because it's cheaper for them, because the fish farmers don't want to let them go, because they can sell it for $20 a pound when it gets as an adult. And so they were actually catching gourami and putting them into the Arapima ponds to have a source of live food for the Arapima. Well, we were able to get a law passed that said you can't do that anymore, but a law is only as good as it's being enforced, and they're not enforcing it. So we're hoping we catch tilapia early enough that people there don't like to eat tilapia. Tilapia are put into ponds to get rid of some of the plants and some of the other things, the other fish that are in competition with the catfish and some of the other fish that they're farming. And so hopefully we found them early enough where we're trying to get a law established or that they can't bring in tilapia into the area.
Yeah, I mean, now speaking of tilapia, now they do taste good, but but I've heard a lot about how invasive that they can be, and it just
tilapia. We have tilapia here in California. They were brought here to California to get rid of hydrilla, which is related to anacharis or alodia, but it can grow. In Florida, they have massive problems with it, and so we had some in all the irrigation canals, and so they brought tilapia in because in their native habitats, these tilapia, particular tilapia they brought in, were herbivores. Well, they brought them here to California, and they didn't even touch the plants. They started eating all the fish. And one of the fish they devastated was the desert pupfish, which is now, pretty much it's critically endangered. You only find them in a few localities in the springs, not only because of that, but because of habitat destruction. But, the tilapia don't do what they're supposed to do, as most fish don't do as they're supposed to do.
Lefty wants to become a doctor like you. He says, how hard is it to get it? And would he be able to get it? He has 2 masters working on a 3rd.
Nice.
A lot of places, a lot of research universities hire people to work in the research labs. And also most community colleges, the minimum requirement is a master's degree. So you could work at a community college very easily, teach at a community college very easily. And in fact, most community colleges, I'm talking here in California, pay much better than most professors make. That's just, the way it is. So, there are ways to get into this trade, so to speak, this line of work, without doing the full package.
Wow. That's a lot of schooling. I'm good.
I started college the summer after I graduated from high school, and I went 13 years straight.
No.
Wow.
Without a break.
Nope.
So I finally, I graduated with my PhD when I was 31 years old.
Well, that's pretty good.
As I say in other streams, it only takes 2 things to get an education. That's it. 2 things. And the first thing is the stumbling block for most people is they have to be able to afford it financially. Luckily for me, I was able to, I was funded throughout my career in graduate school. I was on a TA ship or an RA ship or a lectureship. So the most I ever paid a semester was $100.
Wow.
Okay. My wife did yell at me. I did take student loans too. Yes, I did have student loans. But the other thing is you have to be able to stick with it. You know, it takes a lot of what's happening? Okay.
Skipper.
Backwards.
Oh. Hello.
Go. Go.
So you know, if you're able to stick with it, that's you know, that's something that a lot of people, you know, they get discouraged during the process, and you can't get discouraged. I just saw that behind you, and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
So, everybody, that was my daughter. So you know where she gets that from. And she gets that from her mother, not me. But that was good.
Blame it on the mama,
that-
not you, right?
That totally threw me off.
You do.
No, she gets her goofiness from me. Harry wants to know, have you ever collected in the rainy season? And well, I'm wondering if you really could. I guess it depends on how much rain they would get. Do the water conditions change? How much do the water conditions change?
Yeah, I've collected during the rainy season. It's difficult because you're going into the flooded forest, and you know the tree you're amongst those trees that are really close together. The water level can rise, you know, between the dry season where the water's still flowing and the rainy season, it can fluctuate by 40 to 50 feet. So you're up in the canopy of the trees, and you know the canopy is so dense that it's difficult to get into.
Okay.
And during the rainy season, is the water's colder. No matter where you're at, the water gets much softer because you have that influx of rainwater. And so a lot of people, you know, one of the tricks with Corydoras is that they mimic the rainy season. You feed your fish a little bit less for a week or two, let the water kind of get dingy, you know, don't do water changes, let it evaporate, then do a massive water change with cooler water, you know, 10 degrees cooler water. And start feeding them heavily, and that will trigger, especially wild caught fish, that will trigger wild caught fish to breed. So the water conditions do change because you have that influx of rain.
Skipper, did you see Sandy's question?
I'm not even down. Which Sandy?
I don't know, because I saw that.
I didn't get down
Liquid
there.
Zoo, you know, was asking you if you got her question.
I am
yet
not
or
down that far yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because I was going to read it off, but my chat jumped on me. So
yeah, I took my glasses off, so I can't read.
Yeah, Jerome wants to know if you have dual citizenship.
No, I do not have dual citizenship. I am an American citizen, but you know, there are some legal rights I don't have in Peru. But you know, we have a resident manager who you know is not there to rip us off. You know, we work closely with a lawyer now, one of the foremost environmental lawyers in Peru actually is working with us now. So you know, we do everything legally. That's one thing I want to do is do everything by the books. You know, I've had people say, "Hey, could you bring me back some piranha?" You know, in California, it's illegal to have piranha. It's illegal to have, you know, at the time, legal to have stingrays. You know, now stingrays are all protected. You can get them, but you need CITES permits. You know, and I tell them, you know, you within 5 minutes you can get them here in California, but I have too much to lose by doing something stupid like that. So we do everything by the books. I'm not a Peruvian citizen. Legally, I can't own land, but I can, you know, have my name on the title, but I just can't be the sole title owner for land. So, you know, I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Eduardo, aka Lips, wants to know
La voz. I call him la voz, which means the voice in Spanish.
La voz.
La voz.
La voz. So he asked, like, say if we didn't have time to go collecting or something, or if we didn't want to, could you go to Aquito and purchase fish and bring them back.
Yeah, you can purchase fish there and have them shipped back for you. That's very common. That's what I do a lot too. I go into the exporters, and if there's a fish I wasn't able to collect that I want for my own personal aquariums at home, I'll go into the exporters, or even go into the fishermen. By law, you can bring back 6 to 8 specimens alive back into U.S. without an import permit. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
it used to be 6, but some people say it's 8. You just have to declare them once you come back in.
Yeah. So Sandy Dowdy, she's a Canadian, wants to know if she can enter the trip. Yes, you can, but they're only paying for up to $2,000 of the airfare.
Very
So
good.
anything
Very good,
over
Skipper.
anything over $2,000, you got to pay for.
Let me
And the
write
thing
this
is,
down.
they have boats there, not boats. Okay, the Canadians, they talk a little differently than us. I can make fun of them because my father's family is from Canada, so
Eh?
eh, eh, eh.
And I love that too. um, Glitch she's from Canada as
He's
well.
Canadian, huh?
Hmm.
Select Pet says in Mexico, with the Goodies and Tilapia problem, there's a program to teach local communities about the ecosystem importance. Is there a program like that in Peru to teach about invasives and get support of the locals?
There isn't now. Well, not when it comes to fish. Amazon Forever has a educational system for the forests, and so that's what we're going to be doing with the aquarium. It's going to be set up, and it is set up as an environmental education unit to bring in school kids to teach them about all the different problems they have in the rivers and streams there. Invasives is just one of the problems that they have, and so we're going to use that as a tool to teach environmental education. We have my wife developed a mascot named Nalda, which means strength. And Nalda is a river dolphin princess that comes and becomes a human to teach the kids about what they're doing to the environment. So yeah, that there isn't one, but that's what we're going to do for the research center and the aquarium. And that's education is the main reason, whether it's educating the fishermen or educating the public. That's really what the research center is geared towards.
That's great. I mean, that whenever you started coming into the streams and I started learning about it, I was like, oh man, this is great. I'm hooked. It's something different.
Yeah. And we are the only research center in the world that's devoted just to aquarium species. Peru has a national research group called IAP that is just for food fish. They do some aquarium species, but their main emphasis is food fish. And so we're filling that niche for aquarium species and, teaching sustainability for those aquarium species where, it doesn't exist right now in Peru.
So, what would be the most common species, in your opinion, do people catch to bring back home with them?
Really, it's what people are looking for. There's quite a few tetras, Corydoras, angelfish, and so it really depends upon. Neon tetras are the most common species. Neon tetras and the common autocinclus are the most common species exported out of Peru. We don't have common Otto's there, but we have Otto called the giant Otto. It's about 4 inches long. That's very common in the waters. But Otocinclus and neon tetras are the most common fish exported right now, and have been exported, for 10, 15 years now.
Yeah. So now we're going to focus on you for a little bit.
Uh-oh.
We got 10 minutes left. Everybody, after 10 minutes, can you please go to Susie Q and watch her stream for us? Very nice lady. Just don't make her
Yep.
mad.
Don't make her mad? Okay.
Don't make her mad.
Okay.
Well, one of my questions is, how many tanks do you have set up in your house right now?
Well, in the house or at the house? Because I have a
on your property.
Okay, on my property. So in our family room where I'm sitting right now, we have the big tank, and then my wife has a small reef tank, the only saltwater tank in the house. And then in our garage, a 2-car garage that I converted into a fish room, I probably have a good 30 tanks in there, and they're filled with everything. I have livebearers. I have some molly, some wild guppies, some Gardneri metallica, which is another livebearer. I have some African shell dwellers. Of course, I have another 20 wild-caught discus in the fish room, wild-caught angelfish, a pistogramma, and probably about 8 species of Corydoras.
Oh, nice.
But they're not breeding for me now. They just stopped breeding. With going out of the country so much, my fish are neglected, especially during the summer per se. We have our grandson come take care of them, but it's not like he takes care of them fine, but they don't get the attention they do when I'm here. So
yeah, he just feeds them.
He feeds them and maybe tops off the tanks, but there's really no water changes. My wife will do all that stuff, but she goes with me most of the time. Not she can't go the whole summer because she went back to work, but
right.
So she's here to do some of that.
So Bob wants to know what's in the reef tank.
The reef tank, it's not. There are 2 clownfish, a cleaner shrimp. Heck, yeah, it's only a 24-gallon tank. I'll bring you guys here because I'm on my computer. Oh, my wife says I can't show you because she says it's dirty. There's algae on the front glass. So there are some what's your polyps called, Ray? There's some little mushroom polyps, bird's nest coral, mushrooms, pulsing xenia, 3 different types of polyps. I'm listening to her. Snails, some hermit crabs, but so it's not really overpopulated.
And Bob says his 20 long that he uses for his.
Now, so like since mainly the fish you have are wild caught,
not all of them. I mean, some, I have guppies. I have some, jewel cichlids. So it's just really the South American stuff that I have are wild caught.
How often do you feed them?
They're fed once a day. The discus are fed once or twice a day. But I think one of the problems that people have with discus is they don't feed them enough. So I really feed my discus a lot. And they're, they're only getting a weekly water change. So, they're eating everything. But if you would see me dump in Tetra bits into the tank, you would think, man, that tank's going to be all wiped out tomorrow, but they eat every bit of it. And I think that's where people go wrong with discus is they don't thrive. They'll die after 6-7 months because they're starved to death. A fish, I had a discus that was blind that stopped eating. and it survived for 7 months without eating. I thought maybe it would recover, but it didn't. Maybe I should have put it under. Maybe I should have, euthanized it, but I didn't. But they can go a long time, especially a big fish like that can go a long time without eating. So if you go away for a weekend, even a week, I wouldn't feed my fish. There's plenty of food that they can pick off in a tank. And I think it's more trouble to find someone who doesn't know anything about fish to feed your tank, because normally what happens is they overfeed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a problem. If they overfeed any fish, that tank's going to spoil. You'll come back to a rotten tank with no fish.
Yeah. Select Pet asked, with your fish at home, what happens when he goes to Peru for the summer? He has you said your grandson comes over and feeds when his wife ain't home.
Yeah.
Or when his wife is with him down there.
Yeah, my grandson's 21, 22. He's a responsible young man, so he usually stays at our house. So, we don't have any problems.
I would imagine aqua balls is probably, this has to do with the discus. How the transition from live bloodworm and beef heart to flakes.
Flakes is really not the best to feed your discus. There's just not enough there. I will feed my discus live blackworms maybe once a month, because once they start eating worms like that, that's all they'll want to eat. And so I don't want to get them conditioned to live blackworms. I feed frozen bloodworms. I feed occasionally frozen tubifex worms, lots of color bits, and I make up my own mix that does not have beef heart in it. It's just a mix of shrimp and fish, dried shrimp, dried daphnia. Occasionally I put in some rapashi as my binding agent. And that's what I feed my fish. I've gone away from beef heart. Beef heart's a great food. Don't get me wrong. And if you want to mature your fish quickly, feed them beef heart, because all that extra protein goes into growth, and they grow really fast. Wild caught discus maybe breed in 4 years. A domestically bred discus that you feed beef heart in 9 months to a year is adult breedable, and so because they're getting all that extra protein. But the problem with beef heart is fish cannot digest animal fat, especially beef fat. It takes high temperatures to really help digest that, and they can't. And so the tank can spoil with all that extra fat in the water. So you have to really devein it really well, get all the fat out of it. If I buy a pound of beef heart, maybe I'm using a half pound at most. It's not worth it to me.
Yeah. You said frozen bloodworms, not frozen blackworms, right?
Yeah, no, frozen bloodworms. The blackworms are live, yes.
I've never seen them frozen blackworms.
Yeah, you can find them occasionally, but they're produced here in one farm here in California. Even though blackworms are harder to come by, even the wholesalers that I know here in Los Angeles haven't been able to carry it for a while. There's a blackworm shortage right now.
That and the price of them are ridiculous when they get them in.
Yeah.
Alice B has one. This will be the last question. They have a 100-gallon with 13 discus, sizing from 3.5 to 5 inches. They feed them twice a day. Is this enough?
Well, it depends how much you feed them during each time. If I walked up to this tank, even though I just fed them, those discus will come up to the front glass like they want to eat. Fish are always hungry. That's all fish do all day long, is look for food. And they're looking for food in order to pump up their system so they can reproduce. So a fish is constantly looking for food. You can't overfeed a fish per se. You can, but you really can't. If you feed them properly, they're not going to have any problems with overfeeding per se. And so, people say, feed a fish what it can eat in 5 minutes and, come back later. Well, you know, well, you can sit there and watch them eat for 5 minutes. No,
No.
they want to be eating all day long. So they're picking at the bottom all day long. So it really
Right.
depends on what you're feeding, how much you're feeding them, and at what time. You know, the worst thing you can do for any of the fish that that are diurnal, that are waiting during the daytime, is feed them right before the lights go off. Because they're not going to
Okay.
be eating when the lights go off, and that's when you can get tank spoilage at that point. If you don't have, you know, fish that come out at night that will eat up all that wasted food.
Okay. That's a good tip, then.
Well, it's 7 o'clock our time.
Wow.
It's been an
Time-
hour.
Time flies. You're having a terrible time.
I know,
Doctor,
right?
thank you so much. I mean, this has been an awesome live stream. Thank you
I've
very
enjoyed
much.
myself.
It was a good. It was fun. So I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I'm very pleased with how everybody participated in the chat. That was pretty good. And thank the mods for doing an awesome job for posting links and stuff like that. I want to thank Dr. Anthony for being our special guest today, and also Robert for being the co-host.
Skipper, I have a blast every time, buddy. And thank you for keep on bringing me back up here with you, man.
Just to let you all know, I did not pay him to say that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you.